Generation X. In general terms, those born between 1965 and 1980. Latchkey kids. Independent. Existentialism. Modern philosophy focusing on personal experience, human ability, and responsibility in an otherwise meaningless universe. We're the cause. This is the effect. We're the Gen Existentialists. And welcome into the Gen Existentialist podcast. My name is Scott.
And I'm Bunny.
And we are coming to you today through the wonders of modern technology.
Yes.
And that is actually going to be our first short topic because we generally try to keep the shows non-temporal so that you can listen to them at any time, day, night, spring, summer, fall, winter, whatever, and it's applicable to your Gen X or whatever generation you are life. But today we're recording the show remotely, and there's a reason for that. It's because we're in the middle of a snowpocalypse. So it's early January 2025. Hope everybody's holidays went wonderfully. But this kind of points out the Gen X aesthetic, I think. And Bunny, I don't know if you'll agree, but when we see that there's going to be a bunch of snow, and even though you and I only live a few miles apart, we could easily traverse that, but we have the wisdom of age, and we can look at the hazards, and we can provide a gravity. And when we talk about gravity of hazards, I'm going to drag you with me into the safety world here for just a minute. When we talk about the gravity of hazards, we talk about probability and severity. So when we're talking about this level of snow, the probability of there being significant hazards is very high. It's greater. When we talk about the severity, the potential for major ramifications, like sliding off the road, injury, death, that kind of thing, that also very high. It's very high here. So when we look at that from a Gen X perspective, we go, hey, we grew up with technology. We're the generation of personal computers. We're the generation of cell phones. We're the generation of, you know what? I don't have to leave my house to do this. And so that's what we're doing. And the reason I bring this up is because already, and as we're recording this, stuff has just started to happen, but there are multiple accidents all over the highways. And people coming out like the governor saying, hey, stay off the roads. Like, come on. And so it boggles my mind that anybody could look at the weather and go, yeah, it makes sense to go to church this morning. Yeah, you know what? I need to go down the street and go to Dollar General and take a look around. It just baffles me. I don't know your thoughts on this.
God had to get that off his chest.
Yeah, sorry for the rant there, but I mean, really, it's just, it boggles my freaking mind.
Well, I think we're not just the generation of technology. I mean, look at millennials and Gen Z and now Gen Alpha. They spend all their time on Zoom and goofing around. I don't know half of them that want to actually get together live and do anything. So
who's out on the roads then?
It's all the boomers. At least in my neighborhood, it's all boomers.
Oh, boomers.
Slipping and sliding.
Just like
little Richard.
Yeah, I mean, like the pictures and stuff, there are a lot of people out. Mm-hmm. And I don't get, it's not like this just popped up. We've been getting warnings about this for days. And I don't get it.
This is a self-correcting system.
Yeah, cleaning up the gene pool, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so should we get into our regular thing and give MegaWheel the Magnificent a spin?
Sure.
All right, we will give MegaWheel the Magnificent a spin. So many topics, thousands, and are we up to multiple thousands now?
No. Just we're still hovering in the 1400s.
Hovering in the 1400s. This one is
just like the Black Plague.
This is the epitome of the type of question that we want from MegaWheel, okay? Are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
What's your death row final meal?
Ooh, Death Row final meal. Frozen cherry Pop-Tarts.
Frozen?
Frozen cherry
I've
Pop-Tarts.
never had frozen Pop-Tarts. Where'd that come from?
I like the Pop-Tarts cold, and the colder they get, the better.
I have to try that. I've never.
Yeah, give it a shot. It's pretty
Wow.
good. A bowl of cold macaroni and cheese.
Okay.
I want all of my final meal to be cold. I'm preparing myself to ride the lightning or whatever, you know. So I'll get warmed up then. I just want a bunch of junk food, like cold pizza, cold mac and cheese, frozen Pop Tarts, maybe a Verner's ginger ale to send me off.
Wow.
The great
Okay.
beyond. How about you?
Okay. I'm still, my mind is still blown by the frozen Pop-Tarts because now that I think about it,
Mhm.
it makes perfect sense. Like frozen cherry Pop-Tarts or the strawberry just sounds. And see, damn it, you've put this in my head now. And my immediate thought was, could I get to Kroger and get some Pop-Tarts? How
It's a
much of a hazard?
self-correcting,
Yeah, how much of
self-correcting.
a hazard are the roads? Could I do
Yeah,
this? Could I make this happen? Could I tie them to the top of the car so that by the time I get home, they are frozen?
that's very efficient.
This is terrible. Um, no, my death row final meal, I think, would be perfectly cooked Geta,
Mm.
sunny side up eggs, a diet Mountain Dew, and I think that would be perfect because that is still to me the perfect like Sunday morning breakfast. I remember my grandfather, my dad's dad coming over and my mom making that and it just being so perfect. And if you're not from the greater Cincinnati area and you don't know Geta, it's kind of a loose sausage made with pin oats and it's just the most wonderful stuff cut into thin pieces,
Mhm.
crispy, and sunny side up eggs so you can break the yolks and use that as kind of a gravy for everything. Man, it doesn't get any better than that. And if I'm gonna ride the lightning, as you say, that's the taste I want in my mouth as I go to meet my maker.
Awesome.
Okay, so we will give MegaWheel the Magnificent another spin and see what we can come up with. And if I'm raspy, by the way, it's because I spent the entire month of December sick, ending up with pneumonia. So I apologize for
Right.
my voice to our longtime listeners.
That's another reason why we're doing this remotely, because I don't want pneumonia.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think you can pass pneumonia along. It's the weirdest thing. We'll take a minute on this. I got sick at the beginning of December, went to the doctor. It's a cold. Cool. Got better for like 3 days. And during those 3 days, I saw my endocrinologist. So I was fine. Then I had a little bit of a cough. And then Friday the 13th, that cough through the course of my workday, and I had a 13 and a half hour workday that day. By the end of it, I don't remember driving home. I was so miserable. I spent that following weekend in bed and I never got better. But I went back to the doctor. Hey, it's still a cold. We'll give you zithromycin. I got a little bit better, but I didn't get better. And I'm taking over the counter meds like I was instructed. And finally, here's the problem with over the counter meds like Tylenol, sinus, severe flu, whatever, is that with the Tylenol in there, it kind of masks it if you've got a fever because it keeps your fever down. When I quit taking them, my wife took my temperature and it was 102.6. At which point we realized, okay, so we had a video visit with a nurse. And as soon as she heard type 1 diabetic and 102.6, she's like, yeah, you need to go to the ER. So I did. Hey, you've got pneumonia. And somehow, because I hadn't been around anybody, and COVID-19. I don't know how the hell that happened. And they weren't even
Uh,
worried about that. They were worried about the pneumonia because I'm
sure.
on like my ninth booster for COVID-19.
That's really
That,
working. Huh?
well, I mean, it did. I mean, if I hadn't had that, who knows how bad it could have been.
Hmm.
But it was the pneumonia. And so I was on a week-long course of like two different antibiotics that have gotten me better. I'm still sniffly and I've got the voice thing, but it's just the weirdest thing. And through the course of the month, I don't know how it happened, but I am going to be way more likely to just stop and go to the doctor. Like if I'm taking over the counter meds for a couple days and I don't get significantly better, I'm going to go back to the doctor, even if that means I go back every 3 or 4 days, because I'm not having that happen again. I basically lost the freaking month. We didn't do Christmas with my family or anything.
Bah.
Yeah. So, hey, happy December,
Hilarious.
Scott. Way to go. Okay. So, our next question from MegaWheel the Magnificent. What was the worst, rudest, or dumbest thing you ever did while making love to someone?
I can name this one immediately.
Okay.
I was with a young lady who I'd been dating for quite a while. This was a while back. This was before the advent of TiVo and and digital television and all that. So I should tell you, this is probably, I don't know, mid '90s, early mid '90s, somewhere around there. And we were in bed doing the thing and doing what people do, and the TV was still on, really quiet in the background, just to have some light in the room. And all of a sudden, Ultraman showed up on television
Yay.
because it's like 4 in the morning or 5 in the morning, and this is TNT, the channel Turner Network Television. And Ultraman shows up, and I immediately just throw her off the top of me and go, "Oh my gosh, it's Ultraman! Wait a minute!" And I ran over and I got a tape and I stuck it in the VCR real quick
Oh my God.
and recorded Ultraman. That sort of, ruined her mood, but boy, it was an Ultraman marathon, and I was happy as a clam. So
That's
that was,
amazing.
yeah, that was probably the rudest thing I ever did. But you gotta have priorities.
Well, yeah. What was the discussion after that? I mean, were you able to continue or was that the
Oh
end of
no, 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 no!
festivities?
It was done. It was done for the morning. So,
And how
and
did,
then we
what were
we just sat in bed and watched Ultraman.
well, at least there's that. I mean, at least there wasn't like, she's up and out of there, but
No, no, no. No, she was whimsical enough. She was a manic pixie fairy. Is that what they call them? I don't know.
yeah, sure.
Yeah, one of those types. So yeah, that was because nowadays I take it for granted. Now I can go on any pirate site, or I can go on Tubi or Plex or any of these things and just pull up Ultraman, and it's like no
Sure.
big deal. But back then, it was a reason for Coitus Interruptus.
Wow.
So that's probably the rudest thing I've done. How about you?
Um, I don't know that there's anything that I ever did. Not that I can think of, but there was a time where there was coitus interruptus by an ex slash current boyfriend of the girl I was with.
Uh-oh, Scott,
Well,
sniffing around other people's.
well, it was during one of those times where the woman in question was, as she put it, confused. And I think we've talked about this before. Like anytime you're with someone and their take is that they're confused, they're not sure who they want to be with, what they want going on, it's always a bad thing. But good can come of it. So you remember my old place
I
at my parents'
I
house.
think I know this story. Yes.
Yeah, in the basement there. And there was one window, one of those basement windows. It was
Mhm.
before my parents had the glass block put in. So it was still one of those basement windows that had the lever that you undid and just opened up. And so it was open because it was springtime, air conditioning wasn't on, and it let a cool breeze in. The curtain was pulled just enough so that if you were looking in from the outside, you could see what was going on. And somehow the female in question's ex slash current slash maybe boyfriend, which I wasn't an ex, I was a maybe possibly future boyfriend. We're getting things done on my bed, and we hear from over my shoulder the lady's name. You need to call your mom. And it was like, God.
Let her know
And
what's going on.
and
Accurate person tip.
she's like, oh my God.
Wow. All
Gets up,
right.
she takes off after him. So he had like tracked us to my house. I guess he had contacted her mom, who knew where she was, who she was with at the time. And this was like mid college. It's not like high school. but she was still living at home too, so she kept her folks up with where she was at. And yeah, that was incredibly rude. I am not prone to violence, but she kind of kept me from going back out after him. It was
I may
just
be dipping into the boomer world here, but I think kids, you need to listen to the song "Sundown" by Gordon Lightfoot if you want to know this situation. So yeah, that's quite the story.
yeah, it was really unpleasant in a lot of ways, and I guess it was rude of me to not pull the shades completely. But then I wonder what he would have done. Would he have banged on the window? Would he have gone up to the front door and like gotten my parents involved? I mean, I don't think my parents were home at the time actually. So I don't know. It was a rude way to interrupt my evening. I'm still unhappy about it. So we will give MegaWheel the Magnificent another spin and see what kind of wonders we can come up with. Oh, she's rolling, rolling. Oh, she's gonna end up on her head. Poor Mega. Would you rather wear a swimsuit in winter or a snowsuit in summer?
Swimsuit in winter.
Why?
Because I get all nipply.
Okay.
I'd rather be nipply than sweaty. Let's put it that way. I have a
Always.
hard time cooling down. I can warm up pretty fast, but I have a hard time cooling down. So
Same here. Like right now, where it's cold outside, I can keep putting layers on. That's no problem, but I generally don't. Like even in winter, I'll walk around the house in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt just because I get hot really quickly.
you're gonna
And
get pneumonia doing that.
yeah, well, but see,
Oh wait,
that's the thing you don't. I mean, pneumonia
I
is
know,
like
I
an
know.
infection, so I don't know. My mom gets on me all the time, like, you didn't wear a coat. I'm like, Mom, it's 50 degrees, but you should still have a coat on. You'll catch a cold. Like, that's not how you catch a cold, but it's still one of those things that's pervasive. So I'm always going to lean toward the swimsuit. Snowsuits, like coveralls and stuff, just, I get it if you're working outside the whole time, but if I put on a big, like, Carhartt uniform and everything, I just know within 10 minutes I'm going to be a sweaty mess.
Yeah, even in the wintertime, that's the bad
Yeah.
part of those. And then you get the chills, and then it's miserable.
Right. Like if I go out to shovel snow, which God help me, probably going to have to
Yeah.
do tomorrow,
Yeah.
it's just the most miserable thing because you have to bundle up. And then within 5 minutes of starting to work, you're a sweaty mess. You come in and you're cold, but you're hot. And that's when you get sick. So just one of those weird things. So that was a quick one. Let's give old Mega another spin here. And our question is, would you rather be able to talk to ghosts or travel through time?
I'll travel through time
Why?
in a heartbeat. Because I'd go backwards and I'd never come back. I'd be just like the Killing Joke. I'd be living in the 80s, so it'd be fine. So, how about you?
Well, I think the question presupposes that ghosts are real. So if we go on that presupposition, I think I would rather be able to talk to ghosts because it would make certain jobs, like I could be a private investigator, and it would make the job really easy and probably a lot of fun. The time travel thing, I just feel like I would get in way too much trouble.
Hmm.
But talking to ghosts would provide a lot of pragmatic positives that I think would be useful. But I would hate to make that choice and then have, game show hosts look at me and go, well, nice choice, Scott, but well, ghosts don't exist. To which I
Well,
would respond, oh, so time travel does. Thanks. But
well, if
yeah,
you time traveled, you wouldn't have to talk to ghosts. You could just go back and talk to them when they were alive.
well, yeah, fair point. Fair
It'd be a
point.
little more interesting.
Yeah, but I'm still gonna go talk to ghosts. It
Okay.
just it's just it's the mood I'm in right now. I'd like to like sit around a steaming cup of cocoa and just talk to a few ghosts about stuff. It just seems intriguing for some reason. So we will give MegaWheel the Magnificent one more spin for this episode of the Gen Existentialist podcast. If you would like to get in touch with us, leave us a note wherever you found us and let us know your thoughts.
Hey, and if you get a chance, could you rate us on, well, I don't know, like Apple Podcast or Spotify or something? We could use a couple of ratings to boost our reach. It'd be really great.
Thumbs up, any kind of support you can give is well appreciated. We certainly do.
And thanks to all the new people that have been piling in on Facebook. We appreciate it. Yeah, new subscribers, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you're catching us. We appreciate it immensely. And we've got some big plans for this year. Potentially doing a Patreon, all kinds of different things to live streams to extend our reach, get some interactivity going on with the folks that listen to us all the time. So our final question for this week is, and I already know your answer to this, and I know mine too. Do you prefer working remotely or in an office? Oh, absolutely remotely. Yeah. I have no time to stand around the water cooler and talk about retarded crap. Pardon my French. No, I appreciate the benefits of working in an office environment, at least intermittently, because there is social interaction. There are certain things that do come about more easily through actual interaction, but it depends on the job too. And I'll say this, like I've worked remotely for a couple jobs. And I'll go back to my safety job with the state when I was a compliance officer. As much as I loved being in the office and interacting with my coworkers, I will say that I was much more efficient at home because I could get an assignment, go do the assignment, come home, do the research, do the report, on to the next thing. There were no distractions. I could just literally focus on my job. And it helped. And it wasn't hard. I mean, I know there's this kind of weird upper management thing for a lot of jobs where they say, oh, people can't be efficient at home. There are too many distractions. Like, you've never worked in an office before. If you think there are more distractions at my house than there are in an office, you don't understand offices. Offices can be the most distracting places in the world. There's a lot less sexual harassment at home. That's true too. But I would much rather work remotely. I get more done. I just feel more efficient. I feel more effective doing stuff at home. I've been working from home for over 20 years now. So yeah, and you're incredibly effective and efficient. So it's just one of those things. Yeah. It's frightening how efficient I am at home because don't tell anybody, but I only maybe work 6 hours a week at the most because that's all it takes me to do my job. But the amount you get done during that time? Oh, yeah. I get a full 40 hours, done in 6 hours. So, yeah. So I can fully see that there are obviously jobs that you can't do remotely, but at the same time, you can't just put everybody into the same big box. You've got to understand that workers are individuals. And sure, some people may not have the attention span. They may not be able to work remotely. I'm not one of them. Give me my computer, a job, and the assignment, and I'm going to get it done. And I'm going to get it done more efficiently and effectively at home on my own than I will in an office. That's just the way it is. And with that, we will bid our audience adieu. That'll do it for this episode of the Gen Existentialist podcast. My name is Scott. And I'm Bunny. And we will catch you next time. Have a good one.